What's up, beautiful, beautiful people? How are you guys doing today? Luffy, and I'm back again with another video. Today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the unemployment numbers and where these jobs are actually being lost. I have some new information about where these job losses are actually occurring. So if you guys have been keeping track of my channel, every week I pretty much dive into the unemployment report and the jobs claims, figure out where job losses are happening so that you can kind of get a feel for the state of the economy. And one of the things that I realized was there was a shift. I called it a couple weeks ago. There was a shift that was occurring in the job losses. So everyone kind of knew and expected from the beginning that, retail sector, services sector, hospitality, so hotels, restaurants, bars, for instance, they were all going to lose a lot of jobs. We expected there to be a lot of job losses in those areas, but I was calling pretty much for a secondary. I called it a secondary and a tertiary wave of unemployment and of economic damage that happens when those job losses occur. So I was looking for that in the actual unemployment numbers for the past couple weeks, and I haven't been able to see it. If you guys saw my most recent video on this topic, I actually mentioned that the two most recent jobs report that the Department of Labor released, only about 30% of states had actually left a comment letting us know what sectors of the economy these job losses were happening in. But so we didn't have a clear picture exactly, but I had an inkling suspicion that, like I said, there was secondary and tertiary job losses that were happening. And some new information that just came out today actually confirms that. So ADP, if you don't know what ADP is a payroll processing company, and they released a report this morning, that shows that in the month of April, we're looking at just over 20 million jobs that were lost, from payroll. If you're not on payroll, you don't have payroll services, ADP didn't calculate that, which means that the number is actually higher than 20 million. And that's interesting in and of itself because, most projections were at about 20 to 22, maybe. I would say 22 is about the median number. 22 million job losses was about the median estimate that we were looking at for the month of April. So the fact that they got 20 million in their payroll report seems about right to me, but it's not 20 million. It's going to be more because not everyone uses payroll. Not everyone uses ADP, even though they are one of the largest payroll processing companies out there. So according to ADP, the sectors of the economy that these job losses occurred in are services, hospitality, trade, transportation, utilities, and construction. That's where the bulk of the job losses occurred in. So it's a lot of blue collar work. This is what we expected. There's certain segments of the economy that were going to get hit harder, and I've been telling you guys for a while, it's blue collar work. Unfortunately, there is a class issue, or there is a class divide in the job losses. But I also called it a couple weeks ago that people sitting in comfy, white collar office jobs like, hey, this isn't affecting me, is coming. And ADP just showed that it's here. It's already happened. Just to give you some frame of reference, the worst ever month of job losses before this was in February 2009, when we lost about 800,000 jobs. It's in the midst of the Great Recession. This is in total 800,000 jobs, right? Just in the month of April, professional and business services lost 1.7 million jobs. Professional and business services, okay? IT workers, right? So, these are it's literally professional services. So these are professionals, right? White collar workers. Oh, I get to wear a suit to work. Oh, whatever. IT workers, right? These are, go work in Silicon Valley, and I'm gonna make $100,000 fresh out of school. 300,000 job losses in April. Okay, the financial services. I play with money for a living. I deal with money all day. I'm on Wall Street. I'm the wolf. 215,000 job losses. You look like a sheep. The only gains that ADP actually reported in terms of payroll numbers and they were very minor gains, right? But that's an indication of what segments of the economy are still strong, is in education and management. It's kind of simple. Everyone still has to be educated. There's still Zoom, and you can teach online, and you can have your own courses and programs and everything like that. And then management, because at the end of the day, whoever is working needs to be managed, regardless of how many people are working. All right. Now, this ADP report in and of itself is big news, but there's other reports that have come out that have kind of corroborated the messaging from this report. So Uber just released a report this morning that they told their employees they're laying off 14% of their entire workforce. 14%. Now, realize the drivers aren't part of the Uber workforce. All right. The drivers are 1099 contractors, right? So I won't get into all that, but they're laying off 14% of their workforce. The entirety, pretty much, of their workforce is comprised of white-collar workers. They said specifically, customer service and recruiting department, you're gone. And pretty much Dara, the CEO of Uber, told them that, hey, there's going to be more cuts to come. This isn't the end of it. They laid off about 4,000 people, almost 4,000 people. This is one company, all white collar work. All right. This is not the start. Well, yeah, this is kind of the start of what I've been saying. But if you've been watching me for a while, then you know that it's been going on for a couple weeks now. And this is kind of it just now being reported. But I've been calling it for a couple weeks because it makes sense. In economies and ecosystem, you can't ever assume that what you're doing is not going to be affected by what happens to your neighbor. If your neighbor loses his job, there is some secondary and tertiary effect on you, regardless of if you're, in that segment of the economy at all or not. Because economies are ecosystems. And that's why it's important to learn about all this stuff that's happening around us so that you're a part of that ecosystem. You can kind of get a feel of how the entire ecosystem's feeling, economy. So James Bullard, the Fed president of St. Louis, he also just had an interview. I believe it was on Squawk Box. And he's probably known as one of the most optimistic chairs of any Federal Reserve Bank, out of St. Louis. And he had an interview. In his interview, he stated that by the end of the year, remember, most optimistic Fed chair, he said that Fed president, I'm sorry, not Fed chairman, that's Jerome Powell. Most optimistic Fed president, he said that by the end of the year, we'll be somewhere near single digits unemployment, okay? Now, I'm thinking that he's thinking, so boom, 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 inception, about 8 to 9% unemployment rate is probably in his head by end of the year, okay? We're leaving the month of April with an unemployment rate at about 16%. So you guys already know that don't put too much stake into the unemployment number as a metric, but the good thing about it as a metric is that you can use it to compare to other points in time. So you can compare the metric to the metric, but you shouldn't use the metric as an indicator of the status of everything. So in short, he estimated single digit unemployment by the end of the year. We're currently at 16%, I've talked about before, disgruntled workers, labor force participation rate, why you shouldn't give it too much stake into the actual unemployment number, but the changes in unemployment number are significant. So going from 16% right now to say 8%, right, 50% reduction in the unemployment number by end of the year, what that means is about half of you, keep it simple, who lost your job will get it back by the end of the year, which means half of people who lost their jobs won't have a job by the end of the year. He's the most optimistic Fed president of any Federal Reserve Bank. And he's saying that optimistically, we're looking at by the end of 2020, single digit unemployment numbers. And that sounds nice. Oh, single digit unemployment numbers. We're right now probably 20+%. It sounds nice, but make it into actuality. That means that half of people who lost their jobs, we were at about 2-3% unemployment before, by the way that they calculated. So based off of the way they calculate, if we have a 50% reduction, we're looking at a 50% increase in the number of people returning to work. This is difficult, guys. This is going to get really, really difficult. This is not, if things open up today, they won't be back to normal until well into next year. Normal, right? Like functioning economy, same level as it was back in February or January. It's not going to get back till late into next year. So I just made this video. I want to keep you guys updated on unemployment data. This new information that came out that corroborated a lot of the things that I've been telling you guys. I called it weeks ago, and now thankfully I have some data to back up what I'm saying. I'm not just over here talking ish. Thank you guys for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. If you guys like the videos that I make, feel free to subscribe to my channel, like down below, comment, and let me know what else you want me to talk about. I'm here to just try to share some financial information with you guys so that, like I said, you guys can be more informed. You guys can create better decisions moving forward by understanding what's happening around you. Our economy is an ecosystem, and you are a member of that ecosystem. So don't ever believe that you live above it or you have a safe job. That's an oxymoron. Thank you guys once again. One love. I'm out.